Hi Taka, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for agreeing to be on the Rising Strong video series. We're absolutely delighted to have you, and we know that the audience will be blessed to hear your story. If you could start from telling us about yourself, tell us your full name, tell us a little bit about yourself and your immigrant journey.
Yeah, sure. Firstly, thank you for having me here. Like I say, I don't like being on video much, but this will be a good opportunity to talk to people about it. So my full name is Takawira Mundure. I'm from Zimbabwe. Go Zim. And my immigrant journey actually started in 2019, April, just when winter was ending, and just before COVID, actually. Just before COVID. And I remember I came as a visitor. I came to visit a few friends of mine. Started in the US, but I was there for a couple of days. And then came over to Canada. And then that's when the system was slightly different. You could still come as a visitor and then get a job and do all that. So that's how I came in, and I've been here since. So that'd be 5 years last week.
5 years?
Yeah,
wow, that's
last week, yeah.
Amazing. And how's that experience been for you?
Oh, the experience was, it says obviously it's ups and downs. Like everyone, you always kind of like Google the countries that you're going to visit or that you're going to try and live in. And the pictures that you normally see or the narrative that you see online is not the narrative that you see when you arrive. So that was a wake-up call. But like every man, doesn't have to be black, white, or anything. Once you commit to something, sometimes you just want to see it through and see if you can benefit from it or not. So yeah, that's how I stayed.
That's good. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
So if you could tell us a little bit, not a little bit, please tell us about your current occupation and any other activities you're engaged in, maybe volunteering, business, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, so I'm an IT analyst. Some call it IT business analyst. So there's so many names to these IT professions nowadays. I've always been in IT. I think I've been in IT for 15 plus years.
Wow.
That's how I started or founded Digital Maples, which is a business that I have. It's a digital agency. We specialize in website software development. And on the odd chance, we also do videography, but that is strictly drones for construction companies and sometimes realtors. So that has been the things that we work with. Volunteering, I've done a lot. I've been through a lot, let me say it that way. So I've volunteered with Canada Blood Services, CBS. Now I think I'm going to my fourth or third year with CBS.
That's wonderful.
And I volunteer with the house called Matthew House, help them with their IT stuff. So
what did you call it?
Matthew House.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh no, it's in Fort Erie.
Oh, right.
Yes. So I help them with managing their websites, any technical stuff that they need, really. As you know, since 2020, everyone is trying to go digital and maintain that digital presence. And not everyone is tech savvy, so we try to give back where we can.
Right, that's
but
wonderful.
Yeah, at the moment, and obviously at church.
Church, yes.
Yeah. You end up for some reason being in the media department, or you end up being taking the pictures. It makes me laugh sometimes when I think about it. My mom would call me sometimes and say the fridge is not working. I'm like, yeah, Mom, I mean, IT, I'm not a refrigerator person, but to her it was like, well, everything is IT, right? Yes. So
to me, true.
Right?
I can relate.
So that's how I'm in IT, but like I said, been 15 years. Started as a software engineer.
Wow.
Then I moved into electronic commerce, and now I'm a UX developer. So those are different journeys that you go through. That's obviously aside from my normal day-to-day job, which is an IT business analyst.
Wow, that is full. That sounds like a full schedule.
Well, yeah. And I'm
more.
Oh yeah, I just remember that I'm doing my master's as well.
Oh, that's
I'm
wonderful.
graduating in May, so that was a very hard road to take, but
Wow, and that's a
worth it.
master's in what?
A master's in digital experience innovation.
Wow, that sounds very amazing.
It is. It is. It's one of those masters because for me, the reason why I went into that masters is slightly different from why everyone else goes into it. Like I said, I was a software engineer for over 10 years. And software engineering does take a toll mentally as well on you. Well, it's a very demanding job to do.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Very late hours, if you have any sleeping hours at all.
Really?
Yeah. And the battle for me when I was in software engineering was trying to correlate or to coexist with designers as far as they would design something and give me, and I have to make it work.
Oh.
But I wanted to also understand that scope from a designer's perspective, why they give me something in a certain way. That's how I started UX.
Oh.
And for some reason, I actually fell in love with UX more than I was with programming. So I think I've found my niche now, and UX is my go-to for now. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. And congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's good to know. Okay. So how would you describe, and I know you said I think you've sort of talked about this a little bit, but I imagine that there was some sort of a journey, in terms of going from your space, your career experience from your home country to transitioning into your desired space here in Canada. So how would you describe that relationship between your experience from back home and what you're currently doing and, all of the juicy
all those
stuff that happened? Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't easy. Almost always when you talk to people about it, we always talk about the end result that now I am an IT business analyst, but for the first 4 years, that's probably not what you'll be doing, or for the first 2 years. I remember when I came through, my first job was in customer service. It was a call center. And in as much as you write on your CV that you've got X number of years in IT, you won't get that IT job because the first thing that they're asking you is, do you have Canadian experience?
Yeah.
Which you do not have. Back home in Zimbabwe, I had my own business. So it was something different to start working for someone again.
Right.
I had not done that in probably 10 years.
Wow.
So
all of that software engineering experience was in your own, you're running your own business. Oh,
yes.
wow. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
The thing I noticed, especially when you are in Africa or in Zimbabwe, is that most people, Zimbabwe, to be specific.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still the case, but we are in the top 5 most educated nations in the world. Very Britishanized, if there's a word like that. But the opportunities are not there. You have all these people who've got education, but what else can you do with it? So that's why you'd find that most people would want to do software business companies or would want to go outside and start something new.
Right.
So I was very fortunate and very lucky that the circles that I used to hang around, those opportunities were there for me to further my business in that. So that's how that happened. And then coming here and working in a call center, it's a very high pressure, more than IT, I would say, environment. And you're taking calls and you're trying to understand the whole culture and trying to understand even how the business works. That was very difficult.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know if you've had the same thing, the accent. The accent is the number one thing. For me, it was slightly different. It felt, at first, it would feel as if someone is being nice about it until the conversation goes further. My go-to, or the thing that they would always say to me was, you speak English very well. Mark, am I not supposed to?
Right.
And then
this is what I've always spoken.
I've always spoken English, right? And then they'll try to play that mystery game of pick a country. Which country are you from? Then they say obviously every other country on the planet except my country, which again, most people don't know about Zimbabwe. But we do have a lot of big names. I would say I need to Google it again, but it should be the VP or someone in that level, an advisor to the CEO of Google. is Zimbabwean. The other one, I think, also advises someone is in the White House. We do have a very significant number of people, but scientists, developers, designers, but most people still don't know. And I hope it's not because Zimbabweans are ashamed of being Zimbabwean. I hope it's not the case, but yeah, I hope not. So then from a call center perspective, it was the hardest job I could do, but it taught me a lot of things about being Canadian, a lot of things about what people go through. That was the first time I ever learned about a credit card. Because in Zimbabwe, we do not have a credit card system. Everything is strictly cash. Whether I want to buy a house, you have to save for it and buy for cash.
Yes.
If I want to buy a car. So everything you have back home, you own it.
Yes.
But here, everything you have, you don't own it. You have to finance it. You have to get a mortgage. You can't go to the bank and just say, I've got $1 million, I want a house. Causes a lot of problems, right? Yeah. And from then, I think I was in a call center for about 2 years.
Okay.
That's when I started working for Shopify. It was a very good opportunity, but I was an IT specialist. So those are the entry-level IT jobs.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite jobs because it was work from home. I didn't need to go to the office. And who wouldn't want to work wearing your pajamas, eh? It was great.
Sounds like lots of fun.
Oh, it was lots of fun. And even the opportunities that they would give you, you learned a lot in a short space of time. So I was there for about 3 years before I moved to Kitchener now for me to work with Apply Board, which is a student company. There's a reason why I paused there for a second because there's a lot of things going around right now as far as we've got too many international students, but the whole core of our business as Apply Board is to bring as many people to have the same opportunity that probably I had, probably that you had, or anyone who can come as a student. So we do have that pathway that we help students with. I think our biggest market is still India and Nigeria. Yeah, we've got a big market in Nigeria as well.
I didn't know that. Okay.
It's surprising. I didn't know about the company until I started working there.
Okay.
I thought it was something else, but then when I started working there, I was like, oh, it's not an IT company. But my journey there has been fantastic. The people are fantastic. And it's one of the things that gave me the opportunity to even continue doing my own work on the side as well. Because I work Monday to Friday.
Yeah, okay.
Weekends, I still get to do my business.
Right.
You never stop with that.
Oh, right.
So, yeah.
Right.
So, challenges. English. In as much as you speak English, it's technically not English to the English. The other challenge was trying to get the job. Remember, I told you that your resume, back home, you put everything that you do. But here, I quickly learned that for a specific job, you need to have a specific resume.
Yes.
If you've got 15 years in IT and you're applying for a customer service job, they won't give you. You're overqualified.
Yes.
And then, if you apply for the job that you then qualified for, but you don't have Canadian experience. So there's that gap where you're like, so how am I going to get into my role? So which means technically every other time, regardless of which field you're in, you always have to have an entry role. Work your way up, which again is a very difficult thing to have, but it gives you that experience. 4 or 5 years, it felt like a very long time. But now 5 years later, I'm in my role and obviously looking to keep going and expanding, and ultimately I still think I'll be the CEO at some point anyway.
You are right now, maybe part-time.
For my business, yeah, of course. For my business.
The CEO of,
Yes.
That's wonderful.
We all aim to be part of a Fortune 500 company, right?
Right.
But most people, we then forget our own businesses because we want to work for someone, because that's all we have known to do. And that's something that we try as Digital Maples as well. We always have people who come in whenever, let's say we're going for a drone shoot, someone wants to learn how to do that, we welcome everyone. If someone wants us to walk them through on how to develop a website, we do that as well. Because we still feel that the pie is big enough.
Yes, absolutely.
It's way too big enough. And that's the problem that I had when I came, where even fellow Africans they don't share their experience. I don't know if they don't want you to know about it or if they are embarrassed about their experience, but most people will not share. And that's the thing that, for me, I was lucky enough that my circle included Canadians, both white and black. And my white Canadian friends, unfortunately, I would say it out loud, but they are the ones who actually helped me in many things. How do I do my resume? How do I go to this circle? Which community I should be part of for me to get certain opportunities? Because they know these things. But my fellow brothers and sisters will probably just tell you, oh no, it's too hard. Don't even try, just go to Team Autos. Okay. So it was tough. But like I said, I had a few people that were in my community that really helped me to be able to be here. So
that's good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And I think you've shared a number of things already, like so many different things. And I think a lot of people would be able to relate with your experience, because it's the experience of many people, like having to start from, zero, all over again. The challenge with your being told, oh, you speak good English, and then you're having to deal with the difference in the accent. So I struggle when people say you have an accent. I'm like, don't we all, Maybe you could say a different accent from the mainstream accent. True, yes. Maybe that. But saying that I have an accent, don't we all have an accent? It's okay. We'll be fine. But I wanted to ask you something. The funny thing is the next question was actually about challenges, and you've kind of talked about that. But I really would like you to talk a bit more about, the resources that you found useful. I know you talked about having a good group of friends and how your white Canadian friends were helpful in terms of, helping with your resume and things like that. We'll go to that. But before we go to that, this is something that I find it difficult to walk people through. And that's weird for me. Okay. For me, because usually when people share challenges around, I'm trying to get into a job, a resume, like I know things, I know what to say. So when somebody tells me that they were running a business from back home, and that they're trying to now, I understand if somebody says, I was running a business from back home and I'm also trying to run a business, I know what to say to you. Yeah. But if you say to me that you were running a business from back home full-time and now you want to try to look for a job, I usually don't know what to say to them. Do you understand? Like, yes. Where do you even start? How do you even, do your resume? How do you, then that mind shifting, because I haven't, so my experience that I wasn't able to shift my mind from being a business owner to I did customer service and a few other roles like that, but I couldn't shift my mind. I couldn't focus. I ended up leaving those jobs. So how have you been able to have that staying power, and how are you able to transition from, I was a business owner and now I want to do my resume to apply for a 9-to-5 job?
Okay, that's a very good question. Actually, it's very difficult to transition between the two. Okay. But the advantage I think that I had is because even as much as I was a business owner, I was very active in my own business. I wasn't the cell phone farmer or the cell phone CEO who never steps at the office. I would do the day-to-day with everyone. And my core with all the people that I worked with never think of me as a business owner. I'm part of you. So we are working on it together. Right. So when I came here, transitioning to getting into the office was very hard, very, very hard. But I think the resources that helped me, most probably because I'm in IT as well. Okay. Going online and searching for resources is something that is my second nature. That's the very first thing that I did. And I was happy that when I came in, I was in Niagara Falls area, and I was in Fort Erie for a bit, and there are multicultural centers everywhere. That's the hard thing for men to do. I'm sorry to interrupt you. The first area you mentioned was what? Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls. Okay. Yeah, Niagara Falls. So Fort Erie is in that region, in the Niagara region. Okay. So I think I was there for the 4 years. I was there for 4 years. I've only been in Kitchener for a year. Oh. Yes. So there are multicultural centers. And these are also resources that you can go and get that information. I was privileged that everyone that I had to interact with there were very willing to help. Right? And the second thing that I used were obviously WhatsApp, Facebook groups. But take those with a grain of salt, because not everyone on that group is there to help. Some of them are there to sift information and cause some discontent or even give the wrong information. I'll give you like an example that's happening even right now. On most Facebook groups, they know that there are a lot of immigrants here, and they'll post jobs which are not really jobs. But because you are at that point where you're looking for a job, the money is finished, maybe your savings that you had is finished, you end up going to those groups, and some of those groups can get into drugs. They can get into so much trouble. So if you cannot verify, or if someone comes to you on WhatsApp and says, I saw your CV on Indeed and I'm part of AYZ company, the very first question you should ask yourself is, what kind of legit company will contact me on WhatsApp? Send me an email. Set up a formal interview, right? Even if it's a Zoom interview, but you don't interview me on WhatsApp.
Right.
So those are things that we also teach people, because we also do trainings for cybersecurity and AI.
Oh, that's Digital Maples?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Especially for NGOs, we do AI related. It's something that we'll be happy to talk about, because everyone right now is going AI this, ChatGPT this, but there is a certain concept that you need to know how to use it, when to use it, and why to use it. And most people don't even understand where those answers are coming from. So we do have trainings that we do for responsible AI use. So
that's interesting. That's good.
Yeah. So back to the resources. So obviously multicultural centers. And then the other thing that I've noticed, every single company, regardless, even if you're working in a call center, they do have departments that help people, whether if you want to transition into a new role. In as much as they say you can't switch from being, let's say, customer service, you have to wait for a year. But they do have those resources to say that if you want to then, let's say, go to be a manager, use those resources. Most people I didn't know until one of my colleagues says, oh, you in IT, take these courses within the company. They've got their own courses. Take their courses, they will consider them as Canadian experience. Oh,
wow. I didn't know that.
So those are things that people can
how do people get to find out about these opportunities? By asking their manager? Okay.
Always ask even your colleagues.
Okay.
Ask your manager, ask your colleagues.
Okay.
And the other thing is, Google is very powerful. Google is very good, right? There are so many free courses that you can take, but they're also recognized. There's so many of them online. And right now, there's no one who will take you or will ask you to do a job. The first thing they'll ask you is, can you use a computer? And I've got so many friends who know that I'm in IT. They can't do it. They'll always call me, so can you do this for me? And one side of me will be like, well, we should know how to do it. Right? But it's because when he was working in the environment that he was in, maybe he was delegating every single time. You have a secretary who is typing for you. So that's where the disconnect comes from, where you can't piece together whether you still want to be an employee or you want to be an employee. So this is a mindset that I always tell people to have. Even if you are in your own business, work in your own business as if you are the employee of your own business. That way it's going to be easier for you to transition and now work for someone else. It's in the Bible. Work as if it's your own stuff. That's where that integrity comes up.
Right.
Because if you don't have that integrity to even be diligent in your own job, if you open your own company, you're not going to be diligent in your own company. I've seen people who open companies and within a couple of months it fails. It's not because they don't have a business idea. It's because they are not used to working for something or for someone to the extent that they say, you know what, I don't like working for people, I'll open my own thing. But they are not diligent enough. They still want someone to help them. So how are you working on it yourself?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I would always say to people.
Yeah. Be diligent. Like work like
it's your own.
Yeah, like it's your own. Okay, that's amazing. And you also talked about researching. You talked about asking questions.
Yeah.
I really like what you mentioned about how a lot of organizations have departments dedicated to helping people through or helping people to transition across different roles. I didn't know anything about that, so it's wonderful that you mentioned that. So it's just good to ask. So even if your organization doesn't have, maybe just ask, and you could be referred to resources. And then you talked about the free courses on Google that are recognized. That's very good. Thank you. You also talked about the multicultural centers, and how they can help through different things. The WhatsApp groups, the Facebook groups. So just being careful with people with fraudulent intentions and things like that. That is wonderful. Thank you. I bet you didn't know that you shared so much. You did. You absolutely did. Thank you. Okay, so you've talked about challenges and some of the resources, so that's good. So the other thing that we know that people have shared with us would be the challenge with, very similar to what you've talked about so far, being underemployed, being unemployed. Losing one's confidence, like this is a new space. The skin color is different. The accent is different. There's no family, no friends, So some people lose their confidence. Some people struggle understanding the system, and it tends to take a toll on people's mental health sometimes. So if you were to come across people like this or somebody like this, what would you say to them in terms of being able to navigate that phase of
Wow, that's that phase is something that is in all of us pretty much. Everyone has gone through it. Imposter syndrome happens a lot, and I think it's not because it's an issue with the transitioning. It's not only the transitioning that affects us, but because you're by yourself. We used to having our buddies, those people who prop you up every single day. Even if you don't know what you're doing, you have that guy who says, keep going, you can do it. But when you're here, it's more of like you fend for yourself, unless you obviously had your family as well. So it makes it difficult for you to even know if you're on the right path. It's difficult for you to even know if you should change or if you're even doing the right thing. That's why you see people thinking that, maybe this is not for me. And of course, the skin and everything comes into play. And I would say, if it's not for the community or the friends that you have, mental health becomes a very big deal because you don't have anyone to talk to. I had a situation where even if you have someone to talk to, let's say they're back home, they will not understand. They will not understand until they are here. That's when they'll say, now we hear what you're saying. Because we're like in two different worlds. I used to laugh with some of my friends because at some point I did 2 jobs, morning and evening, and I had like 3 hours of sleep in between. And you'd explain to them that you have to do that for you to pay rent. So back home to them, like, we don't have night shift. We just have the one 9 to 5. So why can't you have 2 9 to 5s? And since you're working from home, you can technically do it, but then it comes that you can't really do 2 tasks at the same time. It's very impossible. So what if meetings
get booked?
Right? You can. I had one time where I had 2 meetings booked at the same time. And now you have to say, okay, this one or this one. But then both of them, you are employed by them. So how do you choose which meeting to go to? Right? So it's always difficult. But I would say, if someone is feeling like they're not in the right space, or they're not in the right job, or they're not in the, let's say, getting the support that they need, this might sound wrong to most people, but if you feel like that, then you're probably right. Because I always tell people that if I feel sad, then I'm probably sad. But what I need to figure out is why I'm sad. So that's the difference. Most people will look at the end result. We just don't look at why. So if you feel you're not in the right job, do you enjoy it? That's one thing I learned from Canadians. I never knew that's the thing. Back home, you get into a job for the money. Does it pay me well? Everything else doesn't matter. I can work 10 hours a day. I can make 24 hours a day. Am I getting paid enough? But here, it's more about, do I enjoy what I'm doing? Because you're spending your whole day there. You're spending your whole day with the people. So if those people are not accommodating to you, then why do you need to be there? I know it's difficult when I say that because that's the only job I have.
The bills need to be paid.
Right. But your mental health also is important. Sometimes I've seen situations where I have to take a lesser paying job because I feel like I'm myself when I'm at that job. And like I was saying, customer service transitioned into different roles. I even got to be a trainer. I was training people. But for me, that environment wasn't my environment. And when I moved to Shopify, it paid less than when I was getting as a trainer.
Wow.
But that was my core, and that was the environment that I was comfortable with.
Right.
They made me feel comfortable as well. The management was very hands-on with every single person. So those were the resources that I had. But if you don't have that in a company, sometimes it's easier for you to feel like you are not good enough. It's not probably that you are not the one who's good enough. It's the environment that you're in that is not good for you.
Yeah, okay.
So if you can realize that, it might help with that. Do I have imposter syndrome or not? I think I had it for a couple of years. Because the things that I know how to do, like simple things that I know, how to even craft an email. You sit on the computer and like, how do I even do it? But again, it's a community, it's the people that you have around you. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I always tell people, ask for help. And it doesn't make you weak, asking for help. Because every single thing is there. We're not reinventing anything. Someone might have gone through it, but it's because you don't ask them.
Yeah.
So we'll never know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. I love that you mentioned not being afraid to ask for help. And then also being able to identify, the environment that we're in and the impact of that environment on our mental well-being.
Yes.
That's a vital thing for us to be able to. Sometimes it's not even the workplace. It could be the neighborhood,
Yes.
It could be something else. So, just being mindful and knowing when to check, when you begin to feel in some way or somehow, just check. Check. Take a pause and check.
Yeah.
So I like that you mentioned that. Thank you very much. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to look back.
Okay.
5 years ago.
5, yeah.
Yeah. If you could encounter yourself 5 years ago, what would you say to yourself? So you've been Taka now. You spent 5 years in Canada.
Yeah.
And the Taka of that time who was new, coming into Canada in April, right? Just early spring or middle of spring, that kind of thing. What would you say to yourself?
Wow, that's a very good question. A few things, really. I think the first thing I would always say is, let's say if I had not come here, always check where you're going first. The resources, Google, ask friends, do everything you need to, but check where you're going before you go. And the thing with me was, I was going to where my friends were, so I didn't need to check the environment. I didn't need to check what the climate is. Not the physical climate, but like the climate, the political climate, the social climate, the economical climate. All those things you need to know, so that when you come here, you're not caught by surprise. Let me use that word. You understand what you're going into. Also be resourceful in terms of everything. It's not going to be what you think you're going to find there that you will find there. Because everyone, even if you Google right now, Canada is a land of opportunities. It's easy to open a business, right? Until you do. That's when you start realizing, okay, I still have to get the clients. And then you find a client and they drop you and you're wondering why. Then along the conversation, because being black is still a fact. You're still black.
Moving on to the fun part. It's a mystery task. We call it a mystery task, where we have a number of activities or tasks that from 1 to 14. So you pick a number from 1 to 14, and whatever number you pick, you will have to do what the number says.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to pick a number now?
Yeah.
I always go with my birthday, 7.
What? There's no number 7. Number 7 is taken.
I said 1 to 14.
No, it's okay. It doesn't. It's not taking.
Oh, okay,
it's
fair
here.
enough.
I was just joking. Like a number of people have chosen 7 already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a number of perfection.
Yeah, I think that's what people say.
Yeah.
Okay, so share a favorite quote and explain why it resonates with you.
Oh, my favorite quote. My favorite quote is actually not from a book. It's from a TV series.
Okay.
And Justin will know this favorite quote.
Okay.
It's when a friend asks for help, you help them.
Love it.
That's my favorite quote. And it has helped me like from day one. So Justin, my friend that I'm talking about, he's the one who got me into watching that show, Letterkenny.
What's the name of the show?
Letterkenny.
Letterkenny.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just don't watch it with kids.
Okay.
Well,
That's good to know.
It's a way of superficially showing how Canadian life is. It's
It's a Canadian show?
Yeah, it's superficial in the sense that it's not exactly how 90% of Canadians are, but there's a fun side to trying to make it, So that's when a friend asks for help, you help them. And this resonates with me because there are instances where I don't need to ask you why. That's how you create those strong connections that last for years. If you ask me for help, sometimes I don't need to ask you why. What it's about. Just say, I think there's a movie, I forgot what the movie is called, it's one of my favorite series. See, I don't even remember, but it's one of my favorite, where a brother came to another brother and say, we need to do something to someone. I don't need you to ask me who, I don't need you to ask me where, but I need you to go with me now.
Oh, wow.
And the brother had only one question, whose car are we taking? So the point to that whole thing, it's obviously don't go into something dumb, right? But it's for me, it's a
We need to rob a bank.
Oh no, maybe. But it resonates with me because that's something that I'm so used to being African. Everyone in the street is your brother. An African, like a born African, let me say it that way, right? If someone is beating up someone, I don't even know them. I don't need to know them for me to help them. That's an African thing. We don't change about that, right? But here, if someone is doing something to someone, you can't even interfere. You can't even,
mind your business.
Mind your business. And I don't understand how that's humane or humanity when it comes to that. It's like if someone collapses back home, I'll quickly give you CPR, right? But here I need to call, find out, because maybe someone has got a do not resuscitate. How would I know that? They can sue me after they wake up and say, why did you wake me up? So again, that's
an interesting reason to be sued.
Yeah, it's an interesting reason to be sued. I save your life and you sue me, right? But yeah, that's my favorite quote, and I do that with my friends. That's why it's when a friend, not everyone else, but when a friend asks for help, you help them.
Right.
We'll talk about
Can
it later.
I be your friend?
Yeah. I think we're past that now. You're my friend, so
I think so. Right, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And it's a good reminder for our, not just our community, for people generally that just help, help. Sometimes it's not about why, where, who, what. Just, you need help?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I help you?
I'm there for you.
That's
pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Okay, so this is the part where we're going to ask you to share a word of encouragement or inspiration for a newcomer or immigrant out there.
For a newcomer or immigrant, I'd say be resilient. Okay? Be resilient, be resourceful, and be responsible. The 3 R's.
Love it.
Right? Resilience is something that should not be even hard for us because we're born like that. We're resilient from day one. Okay? Resourceful in the sense that sometimes we try to stay in our own little corner, but we don't know that next door they're hiring people. We don't know that, if I take this course, then I can get this job.
Yeah.
Because we don't ask. So that's part of resourcefulness as well, right?
Yes.
Responsible, I did mention about Facebook. You need to be responsible. Not everyone who's your friend is your friend.
Yeah.
Not everyone who wants to help you is genuinely helping you.
Yes.
There's always something that someone wants.
Yeah.
Right? So when you build that community that helps you to be responsible, I always say to myself and to all my friends, always have an accountability partner. Right? That teaches you and that helps you to be responsible in everything that you do. It's not only about work, relationship, business, but if you're responsible with yourself, that's why people say, oh, this guy's got integrity.
Yeah.
It's because you look at yourself and you say, you know what? Sometimes I sit with myself. I always tell my friends, like where you're sitting, that's where I'm sitting, and I'm sitting here and I'm saying, okay, let's fact check. Let's go. You did this. Why did you do this? If you don't give me an explanation, then we can't do it again. Right? Why are we going through this situation? Is there another way that we can do it? And it's not like you're mentally unstable, but
No.
you know, most people, when you say I talk to myself, they're like, are you okay? But it's something that I learned from church. Right? So back home, my pastor used to say, when you pray or when you talk to God, the easiest thing to have that connection is talk to him as if you're talking to your friend. Get a chair, put another chair there, say, right, God, let's talk. Right, this is going on. And you're sitting there and you're telling me that you're not going to do anything about it. Right. You read the scripture, you talk about it. Sometimes you get that. Sometimes it's not even about getting an answer. It's about for you to release whatever you have in your heart. Say, okay, let's talk about it. Why is this happening? Right? Sometimes you actually have the answer yourself.
Yes.
But you need someone to fact check you and say, okay, go ahead, do it that way. So
yeah, that makes sense. I love it. I love everything you said. You talked about being resilient, being resourceful, and being responsible. Particularly the part about being responsible to ourselves. You know, keeping the promises we make to ourselves. You know, even in the corner of your room where there's nobody there, the things that you have said you will do, are you doing them?
Exactly.
You know, are you who you say you really are? Are you keeping those timelines? Are you respecting the timelines even when nobody's going to catch you? You know, so I really love the idea of being responsible to yourself and also having accountability partners, which, you know, leads us to so many. I mean, what a lot of people have talked about on this series, even from season 1, about having a community. So you've talked a lot about friends, the community, you know, and things like that. I really, really do love everything that you have shared. Thank you so much for. I think that was an amazing conversation.
Thank you for the questions.
You're not out of the woods yet. One more thing to do. We have something called the 100-second question spree.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is I will ask you, there's a series of questions we have here. They're not like super, you know.
Should be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. So, hold on. Yeah, so it should be fun. And no, not here. If there's any question you don't like or you don't feel comfortable responding to, or you feel like you think too much about pass or skip, whatever word you want to say, you know. So
let me see how many I've answered.
Yes, let's see how far you go. Okay, I'm gonna set my timer now, and that will be 1 minute and 40 seconds. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do it this way, just so I don't have to be going back and forth. Okay. What is it? Ready?
Yes.
Movies, music, or games?
Games.
The title of the current book you are reading is?
Atomic Habits.
What's your favorite Canadian fast food brand?
Harvey's.
What's one word to summarize your Canadian journey so far?
Exciting.
3 things in your mental wellness toolkit.
Books, friends, games. Oh, family.
Family, that's more. Okay. One aspect of your culture you're always proud to share.
Resilience.
One myth you'd like to debunk about Black African immigrants.
We're not all lazy.
We're not what?
We're not all lazy.
Okay. What's one resource you wish you had when you first arrived in Canada?
Money.
Oh my gosh. Love it. What's the first thing you do in the face of challenging situations?
Sit.
What's one aspect of the Canadian culture you've embraced since immigrating?
Families first.
What's an unexpected community resource that's been a game changer for you?
The police.
Finish the sentence. We can embrace our cultural differences by
sitting, drinking, and having food.
What's one thing you wish you knew before moving to Canada?
How cold it will be.
If you could invent one key resource for newcomers, what would it be?
A job portal for new immigrants, where you don't need to have experience.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. I think you're the one who has gone farthest since we started. Yeah, we had somebody who got to 13, but you got to 14. That's good.
It's the first time I'm listening to that question.
Yeah, this particular question, right? If you could, so usually we'll get to like 11, and I'll say just because I can, we can embrace our cultural differences by, yeah. So you went quite far. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Taka. It's been so amazing talking to you.
Thank you.
And that book, Atomic Habits, I have heard so much about it. For some reason, I haven't read it. I think I've heard the summary of it. But I haven't read it, so I think that's my cue to go get that book and read it, or maybe listen to it on.
So this is the thing. People who are technical, we don't like to read. We either want to watch a video or listen to someone do, and I will never forget. But if you give me to read something, I'll forget it. But if someone does it and I watch it, I'll never forget it. So I then started doing audiobooks. So all the books that I've read, I gave myself a challenge and say every single year I should at least listen to 3 books.
Oh, so that's good. Every year?
Every year, 3 books.
Oh, that's good. Yep. That's good. Atomic Habits. I'm going to go. I have a few books on my Amazon Audible. I have a few, what's it called? Credits. So I'll just
yes, that's what I do. I just use my credits.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming, Taka. It's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for, being here today. It's a Sunday, so that's
day.
A big sacrifice. We recognize that and we deeply, deeply appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Hi, my name is Taka. I'm the founder and CEO of Digital Maples, a digital marketing agency. We do deal mostly with software engineering, website design, and as well as drone photography for construction sites. So we help you with making sure that you have the video for every single level that you do in your construction project. We do cover the whole GTA, including Kitchener-Waterloo region and Niagara region as well. So we are available for you for any assistance. On the side note, we do offer trainings for NGOs and schools for responsible AI use. Right now, we've got everyone doing ChatGPT, but are we using it responsibly? Do we know how those algorithms are done? And do we know where the black box is? So we do conscientize companies and help them create those strategies for AI as well. I'm happy to be on Rising Strong. I do appreciate the opportunity to share my story, and this is a very good project that you guys are doing. I do just hope that you keep going, you keep being resilient as well, and be responsible with the content that you get from us as well.